Today on Running to Him.
Men are to treat their wives in honor. Today we will read 1 Peter chapter 3, verses 1 through 9 and concentrate on verses 7 through 9. 1 Peter 3, 7 through 9 says, "You husbands in the same way live with your wives in an understanding way, as with someone weaker, since she is a woman, and show her honor as a fellow heir of grace of life, so that your prayers will not be hindered." To sum up, all of you be harmonious, sympathetic, brotherly kinded, and humble in spirit, not returning evil for evil or insult for insult, but giving a blessing instead, for you were called by that very purpose, that you might inherit a blessing. Many men have found it impossible to write about these verses, only to find themselves in the doghouse in the middle of the winter if they do. If we read these verses with a modern American headset, we will see that they are offensive and troublesome in some. So let's not read them that way. Let's read them in the way that Peter meant. From 3, 1 through 6, we will find that Peter addresses what attitude women should have towards their husbands. They are not to exude a flashy exterior, but to show an internal mindset of love and submission. He begins verse 1 by saying that women are to become Christ-like. They are to live as Christ lived. Christ lived in submission to God. Christ ministered to the downtrodden. Christ had a servant's attitude in everything he did. Women should have the same attitude. Now drop down to verse 7. Peter tells the men that they should model the same attitude as the women. As the women were to model Christ, the men were also to model him. They were to minister to their wives in a certain way. They were to treat them with the respect they deserved. Now let's get to the problem passage. Verse 7 seems to say that women are the weaker sex and therefore they should be attended to. The Bible Knowledge Commentary says this: the words kata gnosin, translated considerate, more literally according to knowledge or with understanding, point out that husbands should understand and be considerate of their wives' spiritual, emotional, and physical needs. Paul also elaborated on the husband's responsibility to protect and care for his wife, just as Christ does for the church. See Ephesians 5, 28 through 30. Also, husbands are to treat their wives with respect as to the weaker partner. Weaker refers to the physical or emotional weakness, not the intellectual inferiority, for wives are the husband's fellow heirs of God's gift of life. If Peter referred here to Christian husbands whose wives are Christians, then the gracious gift of life could refer to salvation. See Romans 8:17 or Ephesians 3:6. If, however, the exhortation were directed towards Christian husbands whose wives were unsaved, as 1 Peter 3, 1 through 2 was written to wives with unsaved husbands, then the gift of life would refer to sharing the gift of physical life together. Peter added that the husbands who do not treat their wives with consideration and respect, honor, see 2:17, cannot expect to have their prayers answered. Women are generally the weaker physically. Typically, they display more emotions than men, but they are fellow heirs, so we are to work with them in the same attitude as working with men. Just as men are different, women are as well. We must treat everyone as Christ would want us to treat anyone else, regardless of sex, but regarding that person's psychological makeup. If a husband fails to do so, their prayers will not be answered.
Thank you for listening. We pray that today's devotion was meaningful to you. We would love to hear from you. You can use either Facebook or YouTube to like, subscribe, share, and tell others about us. If you would like to contact us, you can reach me at phineasjacobus@runningtohim.net.